Well, in this week's Community Spotlight, Brenda Reber, Director of Constituent Services, and Marina Hardy join us from the banks of the beautiful, scenic Severn River to talk about the 100th anniversary of the Severn River Commission. Ladies.
Hello, I'm Marina Hardy, and I'm here today on the beautiful Plum Creek, which leads to the Severn River, and I'm joined today with Betsy Love and Dwight Wilding. Dwayne Wilding, thank you,
right.
Of the Severn River Association, and they're celebrating their 100th year of existence here, and I have to ask them a few questions. So, Betsy, how long have you been involved with the Severn River Association?
For about the last 3 years. I got involved thinking that someone else was always taking care of the environment, but one day this beautiful creek here poisoned one of my neighbors, and I became concerned and got involved just to see if I couldn't help raise awareness of what happens when you swim right after a rainstorm.
Fantastic. And how about you, sir?
I've been involved for about, I'd say 15, going on 20 years. And I got involved because we grew up on the river, raised a family on the river. Our kids swim in it, in the summer, every weekend we were down at the beach in our community here in Arden, many hours a day. And we're happy to have our kids worn out there so that when they went home they slept well. And so we loved the river, wanted to be more involved. I went to a Severn River Association. I think it was the first one I went to. I'm also a professional engineer, and the topic came up about variances being granted. And actually this was when Barbara Samarizek in her community, she later then became a county council person. She was actually sort of opposing, or at least trying to fight, 2 homes being built in her community because they were really on a steep slope lot and had a lot of environmental issues. So I got involved as a professional engineer to help her. And then I've been involved ever since. I then went on to be president in 2002, 2003. And then this year coming up, they've elected me to be president again.
Congratulations.
So, thanks.
Now, as a professional engineer and somebody from the community who wanted to get involved, what type of experience do you have to be involved with the Severn River Association?
Well, you really don't need an environmental background. You just need to care about the river and to want to learn the issues and how to make improvements.
Great. If somebody was interested in learning more about the association or attending a meeting, who should they contact?
Well, they can contact our website. The best place to go is to our website. That's severnriver.org. And we have meetings every third Tuesday of every month, and they're held at Arlington Echo, and which is just right up the river here. It's a beautiful area, and we have the meetings are educational in nature, and they're also business oriented. So you get to learn a lot about the issues and what you can do to make a difference.
Fantastic, thank you, Betsy. And Dwayne, what types of topics do you think you'll be covering in the coming months?
Well, I think our challenges this year for the Severn River Association is, first of all, there's zoning changes going on. And fortunately for the past couple months, there's been a land use committee with SRA formed to look at the zoning changes and how they may impact some of the environmental concerns and land use, stormwater runoff and so forth in the Severn River watershed. So that's probably going to be our focus through the summer. And the other thing that's going on in Maryland and actually in all the Chesapeake Bay states is the implementation of the Bay pollution diet, the TMDL. Anne Arundel County was one of the, I think, 2 pilot counties that actually participated in doing a pilot watershed implementation plan. So I sat through a presentation about 2 weeks ago from Ron Bowen, Director of Public Works, Anne Arundel County, presenting that. The county's done a great job. They've essentially going to have to manage stormwater, septics, wastewater treatment. But for us in the Severn River watershed, it's going to be stormwater management, some stream restoration, and then septic. So that's probably going to be our other focus of the year, is trying to work with the county to do what we can to help them implement the watershed implementation plan.
Fantastic, thank you. And celebrating the 100th anniversary, can you tell me a little bit more about the history of the Severn River Association?
Well, I'm going to let Betsy chime in on that, but let me just start by saying we were formed in 1911, and at that time there were probably just a few formal communities along the Severn River watershed. Just to date that, that was when the Model T was first brought out, and probably at that time sold for about $700. So you can imagine the issues then and the issues today are far different. And what I've heard is that then some of the issues were actually trying to make better roads for the communities. So in contrast today, we think we may have too many roads, and we recognize all the problems that the roads do cause, like it's the impervious surfaces, the stormwater runoff. So the issues have changed, but that gives you some sense of when we were first formed, and it's I think a real achievement or a real notoriety to say that we're one of the first organizations formed like that in the whole country, and we're 100 years old. So I'm happy to be part of it. Betsy, put your perspective on that.
Okay, well, we're going to celebrate our 100th anniversary in grand style. On April 29th, we'll be 100 years old, as Dwayne said, and we have a terrific program planned, and it'll take place at the Governor Calvert House at 6:30 p.m. So if you want to come, any interested person is invited to come and celebrate with us. And I think it's a wonderful celebration for Annapolis, because Annapolis is the center of so many historical dinners, and here we go again to have another significant event that marks an environmental historical coup for Annapolis.
Fantastic. And I know we were previously talking a little bit about some of your favorite memories from the Severn River, and looking back and looking in the future, what are some of your favorite pastimes?
Well, my favorite pastime is sailing, of course, but playing with my dogs in the river, swimming, and all those things, that you grew up doing, still are grand aspirations, but with the water quality the way it is today, I am very hesitant about doing that. And hopefully one of these days, when these TMDLs get under control and we're able to meet our daily load of pollutants, then or allotment of pollutants, we'll be able to do those fun things again.
Fantastic, thank you. And Dwayne, what are some of your favorite memories and pastimes of the river?
Well, similar to Betsy, we had a sailboat and sailed a lot on the Severn River. I think our favorite thing in sailing was sailing, but also just anchoring out in some of the beautiful coves and what do they call them, gunk holes? The gunk holes in the river.
What are the gunk holes?
Well, that's what the sailors call the little quiet, anchorages, coves along the river, and of course all through the bay. And we, of course, always liked also going downtown Annapolis and, tying up down there and grabbing a bite to eat and so forth. So, the Severn River really is pretty. We, as I said earlier, we used to swim a lot in the beaches. We also, when the kids got a little older, I got rid of the sailboat and got a little powerboat so we could do some water skiing and wakeboarding. So we also did that. So, yes, we've enjoyed it very much and do some fishing. Yep.
Fantastic, thank you. And if you could tell the viewers today, leave them with a couple lasting impressions about the Severn River and the Severn River Association, what would they be?
Well, I would just offer that, the river is really beautiful. To sort of typify that, years ago I worked for the Army at Fort Meade, and for some reason, it's a long story, but anyway, I ended up in a helicopter flying from Fort Meade all the way to the near Ocean City. And we went directly over the Severn River. And somehow, even though I fly in planes occasionally, you just didn't get the perspective. But that perspective of the Severn River, to see the relief of the steep shorelines or the hillsides going down to the river, it was just gorgeous. I mean, I almost felt like I was in Norway seeing the fjords. And so, I think a lot of us see the river day in and day out, but it's really beautiful. And I think visitors that come in from out of state, if they're not used to it, just are enamored with the beauty of the Severn River. So I would just say, don't take it for granted. Enjoy it. Let's protect it. Let's not love it to death. And help SRA promote activities to do that.
And how can people help promote the activities?
Become a member of Severn River Association. If you're a community in the Severn River watershed, make sure your community is a member community of SRA. And if they're not, then please join. Please attend our meetings. We're always looking for help in our projects. So please, join and be volunteer for activities.
And besides engineering help or general interest help, what type of other projects can people get involved with specifically? What other opportunities?
Well, that varies. They come and go. We like to sponsor. In fact, right now the Severn River Association and Betsy chaired the committee. I think it's called the Stormwater Action Committee, where the Severn River Association then actually has a little grant fund where we fund communities to install small stormwater management systems to help treat the stormwater, prevent erosion in their community. And that's, I guess you'd call it a leverage grant, in that we hope to give them just sort of a nominal amount of money where they can also get money from Chesapeake Bay Trust, from the county, or even their own resources in the county. So we'd like communities to be more involved in that. I think, as you've probably heard from Ron Bowen with the county, stormwater management, the county can't solve all the problems. We all have to do our part. And the Severn River Association, we promote that, and we encourage communities to do that. We promote rain barrels. We've also sponsored programs where we've gotten grants to do actual stormwater management retrofits and stream restoration. Some in the Downs, some near Sherwood Forest, and right now we're trying to also help work with the county on one here in Arden. So just become involved and become better stewards of the river. Living shorelines is another thing we promote, and that's where if you're a community or a landowner on the river, you have an eroding shoreline, and you need to deal with that, especially if you're losing property. What we're trying to promote is a living shoreline, and we actually have a little brochure that SRA developed for that, in lieu of riprap and bulkheads. So we're also promoting living shorelines, among the many things. Betsy can add to that.
Oysters.
Oh, yes.
Oysters, yes. We launched an oyster project, and we have citizens all along the watershed involved in growing the spat into oysters. And we have a reef, actually, Severn River Association reef, where we plant our oysters in hopes that that they'll survive the onslaught of what we give them daily, but to help clean up the river. They do a very effective job. I think it's something like, I hate to say this, but I'm thinking it's like 60 gallons one oyster can clean a day.
Some pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty effective. Yeah. I'm not sure that that's the correct statistics, but it's something like that that's pretty phenomenal. So it's a very worthwhile project that we're working with the government on.
Fantastic. And Betsy, we were talking about stormwater management and what individuals can do, and I'm noticing your rain barrel off to the side of your home.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more of why you think that's a good idea and what you're hoping to accomplish?
Well, the greatest problem our river has is stormwater, and if we can take the water that runs off of our roofs and slow it down and capture it and use it to, at a later date when we don't have so much rain, to water our plants in our gardens, it really helps. If each and every one of us do that, it can really cut back on the amount of stormwater runoff that we have along the river.
Fantastic.
It conserves a little water too.
Yes.
We have 3 rain barrels at our house, and yeah, we use it for watering our plants, for watering, giving the dogs some water outside. It's a wonderful thing. Yep.
And you can get rain barrels at Arlington Echo anytime. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Betsy and Dwayne, and thank you for all you do for the Severn River Association. And that's it for us today. Now back to you, Eric.
Thank you. The Severn River Commission really makes a difference in our community. They also fight to keep our waterways beautiful.